Hello. The Vampire Diaries is one of those shows that, like, you kind of hate it at first, but then you can't stop watching it, and by the end, you're in love. I've seen it happen countless times. The amount of people, especially men, that I've converted to watching The Vampire Diaries is something I'm proud of. Fun fact, this video is actually part 2. The first half of the season covers Stefan and Elena, their developing relationship. We learn the ins and outs of how vampires work, and now that a good chunk of lore has been established, we can go into the insane plot points that this story has. This story is crazy and it's so fun to watch. So if you happen to miss part 1 to this video, let me catch you up real quick. Our 3 main characters in this story are Elena, Stefan, and Damon. Elena's a human. Stefan and Damon, vampires, and they're brothers. Stefan does not drink human blood. Stefan only drinks animal blood. So Stefan, good vampire. Damon, bad vampire. Damon has made a promise to Stefan to make his life an eternity of misery. Damon also killed Stefan's decades-long best friend Lexi for his own personal benefit, so that's, you know, not bad vampire. Before Stefan and Damon became vampires, they knew this lady who was a vampire named Catherine, and they were obsessed with her, basically. Damon especially, extremely in love with Catherine. Damon and Stefan become vampires at some point. We're gonna learn the details of that in this installment, so stay tuned. Fast forward 145 years to the modern day, 2009 to 2010. Stefan runs into Elena, a human girl who happens to look exactly, not kind of like, exactly like Catherine. Stefan and Elena start dating. They've been dating for a minute. She finds out he's a vampire. They work through all that. Elena ends up finding a portrait of Catherine in Stefan's room, and she freaks out, as you do when you open yourself up to somebody and you trust them a lot, but then all of a sudden you see that they were secretly weirdly obsessed with you because you look like some other lady that he used to date. Yeah, kind of a weird turnoff. She takes off the necklace that Stefan gave her that has vervain in it, supposed to protect her from vampire mind control. Yeah, she takes it off and leaves it on the photo of Catherine, drives away into the night. And then she ends up getting targeted by a vampire who was standing in the middle of the road and crashes her car. So that's where we left off the story at the end of the last video. Additional things we covered that are going to be important for you to know right now. Damon had this really fancy ugly brown crystal that's like a magical door opening pendant made by Emily Bennett, who's Elena's friend Bonnie's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother or something. She was a witch. Bonnie's a witch too. Bonnie gets a hold of this crystal, allowing Emily to possess her, and Emily, through Bonnie, destroys the crystal and destroys Damon's chance of opening up the tomb that this crystal was meant to open up. Reason why this is important to Damon to open the tomb, Catherine is inside this tomb. She was taken and trapped in 1864. That's all the recapping I'm gonna do right now. If you want more details, go watch the first video. That's why I made it. Let's get into the second half of season 1, baby. Oh, things are about to get so good. Episode 11. I like this one a lot. Shit just starts getting good, okay? I mean, not that it was bad before, but episode 11, dude. We resume where we were with Elena in her car, upside down, and a creepy vampire stalking toward her. The vampire just like creepily walks toward her and then zooms away. It's almost comical. I don't know.
Wait a minute!
He zooms away because Damon is there. Damon shows up to save Elena. I guess he heard the car crash. And there's really not another explanation for that. Damon is super gentle with her, trying to make sure she's okay. And Elena just looks at him and goes, "I look like her. I look like her." And then passes out. She's gone. And likely has a lot of internal bleeding going on, so Damon, please take this woman to a hospital. Damon does not take Elena to a hospital. Damon takes Elena on an impromptu road trip to Georgia.
Where are we?
Georgia?
No, we're not.
Elena wakes up on the road with Damon, and she's really mad at him and wants to go back home, but he's like, well, we're in Georgia now, so deal with it.
Seriously, Damon, where are we?
Seriously, we're in Georgia.
I'm not going to Georgia.
Well, you're in Georgia.
He also points out that she doesn't have her vervain necklace on, so he could very easily just compel her to cooperate. She then decides to just chill out on her own, does not want to be compelled by Damon, and he doesn't compel her the entire trip. Elena asks about who that vampire was that attacked her. Damon says that he doesn't know who that was, and it's not like all vampires know each other.
I've never met him, I wouldn't know him. It's not like we all hang out together at the Vamp Bar and Grill.
Damon takes Elena to a bar where they meet up with an old flame of his, a woman named named Bree. They meet each other and just immediately start kissing, and Bree is like talking about how great Damon is and how he was such a good lover.
Honey, if you're not roped, you're whipped. He is good in the sack, isn't he?
Making Elena very uncomfortable. Apparently, Damon seduced Bree while she was in college about 20 years ago to try and get her to open up the tomb that Catherine is in, because Bree is a witch. Their previous attempt was unsuccessful, but Damon is coming back to her for advice on potentially another way he can get into the tomb and release Catherine. Elena and Damon sort of let loose at the bar, and Damon's being really sweet and nice to her.
This nice act. Is any of it real?
He's just being so sweet and charming right now, which is not what we typically see from his character. There's also a point where Damon and Elena are outside talking for a second, and Bree, when she has a break, immediately runs to the phone and calls someone saying that Damon is there.
You'll never guess who walked into my bar.
After Elena gets a little wasted, she goes outside to talk on the phone to Jenna for a minute, and while Elena is outside on the phone with Jenna, she gets freaking kidnapped. Someone kidnaps her. At some point, Damon realizes that Elena is gone, so he goes out to try and find her, sees her phone, tracks her, follows her trail or whatever, and there's a guy there wanting to kill Damon. He starts attacking Damon while Elena's just kind of like, ah! This guy, this vampire guy who is attacking Damon is actually Lexi's boyfriend. Yeah, he turned into a vampire to be with Lexi for forever, and then Damon just freaking killed Lexi a few episodes ago. And I love that this show does not let us forget that. Lexi's man totally beats Damon up a little bit. For plot convenience, Damon is a little bit more of a wimp today. He kind of falls on the ground and like stays on the ground for a minute, but it's for the purpose of giving Elena a chance to talk to Lexi's boyfriend. She gives an all-powerful speech. She's like, Lexi wouldn't have wanted you to do this.
Please don't hurt him. Be better than him.
And then the guy like lets them go, so that happened.
Thank you.
It wasn't for you.
Afterward, Damon goes up to Bree and is like, really? You set me up? He threatens to kill Bree, and she finally comes forward with the fact that there is another way to open up the tomb. They need to get Emily Bennett's grimoire, where she would have written down the spell, and then a Bennett witch would be able to undo that spell with the grimoire. After getting this information, Damon does not let Bree go. In fact, he rips her heart out. Yes, grabs her heart, rips it out. Wild. I love the range of behavior we see in Damon, where he goes from this like super sweet, charming, charismatic guy to like ripping someone's heart out in the next scene. He is such an interesting character. On their trip home, they're driving in the car and Damon is being super cute and sweet with Elena again after he just killed somebody. How? You know, how? After her day with Damon, Elena goes back to Stefan. She calls Stefan out on his BS, which is awesome. She gives a little speech and all that.
This lie I cannot take. What am I to you?
And then Stefan comes clean about something absolutely insane. Absolutely did not see this coming. Stefan tells Elena that he was actually in town the night that her parents died. He was just visiting the house because he stops in every couple of years to check in on things, when he hears a car going off the Wickery Bridge, which is very close to his house. He runs to the accident, jumps in the water, finds Elena and her parents there in their car. Elena's dad tells him to get Elena out of the back instead of saving them. He did not have enough time to save Elena's parents, and that's how they died. And then Elena wakes up in the hospital having no idea how she was rescued. Stefan, when he pulled Elena out of the car, saw her resemblance to Catherine and just could not let it go. He needed to figure out why she looked exactly like Catherine. Stefan does a little more digging into Elena's life and finds out that Elena was adopted. That's how she probably looks like Catherine, because the odds are she is related to Catherine in some way. After a while of Stefan and Elena talking, Stefan tells Elena that he doesn't care that she looks like Catherine. He just loves her because she is the woman he's in love with.
It doesn't matter. You are the woman that I love.
And then they make up again and kiss and stuff, so everything's fine. Elena then goes home, and Jenna gets super mad at Elena for not telling her where she was, or just disappearing out of nowhere. And then Elena just turns to Jenna and goes,
Okay, question. Am I adopted?
ooh, Ooh! Yeah, that one puts Jenna to shock, and Elena just walks upstairs. Two more very important plot lines from this episode, one following Jeremy. Alaric is giving Jeremy a chance to make up his history grade from what it was before when Mr. Tanner was his teacher. Part of this is having Jeremy write a paper, something about local history. Jeremy then finds an old diary from his ancestor Jonathan Gilbert. Throughout the diary, Jonathan Gilbert talks about these monsters, and Jeremy gets super curious about it, so he goes to the library to try and find more information about what his great-great-whatever grandpa meant when he was talking about these monsters. At the library, he runs into this quirky weird girl named Anna who knows about vampires.
So what's your topic?
The origin of local folklore myths.
You mean the vampires?
She wants to help Jeremy with his vampire paper project. She even compiles data of all the animal attacks that have been happening in Mystic Falls, and she points out that this might be due to vampires.
There's been a string of animal attacks for the past 75 years. All suffered major blood loss, drained of blood.
Okay, so now we've got a quirky weird girl in the mix. Let's see how this goes.
One book wedged between the other, and I pulled, and then kaplunk kaboom. Kaplunk kaboom.
The other plotline from this episode, super important, we learn a little bit more about Rick, or Alaric. Rick is not a vampire, like they've been trying to make us believe. He's just a normal guy. While he is not a vampire, he does have a very spooky dead wife. And he got this big, bulky, vampire daylight ring looking ring from his late wife. Apparently, Alaric's wife was killed by somebody, and it's an open cold case. Later, we see that Alaric actually saw a vampire attacking his wife, and that vampire happened to be Damon. Alaric is actually here to hunt down Damon, who is the vampire he believes killed his wife. More of that to come. A lot of stuff happens in episode 12. I'm just gonna summarize as quickly as I can, because there's nothing like super exciting in the story. We just get a lot of information in this one. We figure out that there are 3 additional vampires in town, and they are all working together. The first one, the leader of the group, is Anna. She's the quirky weird girl. If you hadn't guessed, she's a freaking vampire. She has a vested interest in opening the tomb, same as Damon, for different reasons. And she has a vested interest in getting her hands on Jeremy's ancestors' journal. Before, everyone was after the crystal. Now everyone's after the freaking journal. The journal's the new hot item, okay? Another vampire with him is Noah. Noah is the black hoodie vampire that crashed Elena's car, and basically he has been stalking her throughout this entire episode. At the beginning of the episode, Noah pretends to be a pizza guy, and Jeremy invites him in. So now Noah has been invited in, and he's been stalking and hunting Elena. Elena tells both Damon and Stefan she's being stalked by this vampire, and then they figured out he has been invited in, so they need to figure out how to kill this guy, because he's been invited in. Big deal.
He was invited in.
That night, there's a 50s decade dance at the school. This school always has like incredible parties and dances. I'm so jealous. Stefan and Damon hatch a plan to try and catch this vampire guy, where they go to the decade dance with Elena. They do end up encountering Noah. He is super spooky, does like a 1000 IQ move by getting the other vampires out of the gym.
I was getting a soda and then this guy gave me his hoodie.
Calling Elena and essentially threatening to kill Jeremy, and then she looks over and he's standing like right behind Jeremy, and it's super scary.
I can snap his neck so fast, I bet there's not even a witness. Now start walking.
Then starts like hunting her, chasing her through the hallways. Stefan and Damon come to save her. They kill the guy because he's been invited in. So yeah, dead vampire.
He's been invited in. He had to die.
While they're killing this vampire Noah, Alaric is watching through the door, the like glass part of the door. So Damon goes up to him and compels him to say what he's doing, what he's up to. And Alaric is just like, I'm a teacher. I'm just here from out of town to teach. Damon's like, okay, cool, walks away, and we see that Alaric opens his hand and has vervain in his hand. Third new vampire in this story, Ben McKittrick. This guy. This freaking guy. He is supposed to have been the football god who's now just like a bartender at the Mystic Grill.
Following in your footsteps. Minus the state championship. Well, can't all be football gods.
Anna has kind of been the mastermind behind finding a way to get into the tomb, but she needed someone to spy for her. She saw that Ben McKittrick was kind of not going anywhere with his life and decided to use him, turns him into a vampire, makes him a spy, essentially.
Can't all be football gods.
Ben's job as part of this vampire group is to seduce Bonnie because they need her magic for the tomb as well. So Ben has been flirting with Bonnie, and she is totally falling for it. So Noah is now gone, but we still have Ben and Anna remaining vampires with mysterious agenda. Jenna and Elena finally talk about the adoption thing. Jenna does some research and finds out that there was a 16-year-old girl who was pregnant and showed up at Elena's dad's doctor practice. Her dad was a doctor, okay? Elena's dad helps deliver this baby, and then the girl just disappears. She runs away and abandons her baby, so Dr. Gilbert and his wife decided to kind of under the table forge some paperwork and make it look as if Elena was their baby and not this 16-year-old girl who abandoned the baby. We also learn that Elena's mom's name was Isabel. Then later, Alaric walks Jenna home from the dance. Alaric ends up telling Jenna that his wife's name, his dead wife, her name was Isabel.
Isabel?
Yeah, that was her name.
Soap opera? I think so. We are unveiling some family drama here. We're getting into the deep stuff. Caroline and Matt are getting closer. They kind of have a fight during the episode, but at the end, Caroline kind of is like, fine, if you don't want me, I'm gonna go. And then Matt chases after her in his car, pulls over, runs over to Caroline, and they kiss on a crosswalk, and it's super cute. It's super cute. Caroline and Matt are freaking cute, okay? Sue me. Last thing about this episode, Stefan creates a fake alliance with Damon. Like, he convinces Damon that he's going to help him get Catherine out of the tomb as long as immediately afterward Damon books it and gets out of town with Catherine. But ultimately, Stefan actually does not want to help open up the tomb. He's just pretending that he's going to help Damon. And he tells this to Elena immediately.
I need to tell you something.
What?
I told Damon that I'd help him, but it was a lie.
I'll help you, whatever it takes.
Elena and Stefan, I guess, are playing some risky games here with Damon, and we'll see how that turns out. Episode 13 is a major flashback episode. So many flashbacks. I love how this episode starts. We start off with Catherine and Damon. Back in the 1860s, Catherine is teaching Damon how to hunt humans, prepping him for what it's like to be a vampire, and he's like super into the idea, really wants to be a vampire just so he can be with freaking Catherine. We jump back then to the modern day with Stefan and Elena hanging out in bed together, and Damon comes in because he's all excited that they're now in a little alliance.
I really like this menage a threesome team thing. Don't screw it up.
After he leaves, Elena starts making out with Stefan to try and make Damon upset because he could hear them making out. That transitions back into the past to Damon in bed with Catherine, which is actually a pretty cool transition.
What are you doing? Stop it.
Damon is simping for Catherine so hard. He is whipped for this woman. Catherine has to leave to go talk to a woman named Pearl. Pearl happens to be Anna's mother, Jeremy's new quirky weird vampire friend. Yeah, Pearl is another vampire. Apparently there's like a whole bunch of vampires that came with Catherine to Mystic Falls in 1864. Pearl tells Catherine that the people of Mystic Falls are selling vervain and they are aware of vampires. Now that the people know about the vampires and they know about their weakness, it's gonna be imperative for the vampires to get the fuck out of there. But Catherine is having way too much fun messing around with both Stefan and Damon, and she's not ready to leave. She wants to stay.
It might be time for us to move on again.
No, I like it here.
Eventually, we learn that Catherine has a plan to turn both Damon and Stefan into vampires to keep their actual threesome weird thing going on forever, is ideally what she would like to do.
I want you all to myself.
But I'm the one who gets to make all the rules.
Catherine is self-admittedly a spoiled control freak, and she's not ashamed of that.
Because I'm spoiled. and selfish.
Another thing we see in the flashbacks of this episode is Stefan and Damon talking to their father, Giuseppe Salvatore. Giuseppe Salvatore has sort of a Denethor vibe from Lord of the Rings, if you know what I mean. And just for some perspective, Stefan is definitely the Boromir of this situation. Damon is for sure the Faramir.
I'm not sure your brother Damon understands the importance of duty.
I never asked for your respect.
Good for you, Damon, because all I have is disappointment.
Giuseppe is having the talk with his children.
What are you talking about?
We live amongst demons.
Telling them about freaking vampires and how they are evil and they need to be eradicated.
But we have a plan to kill them, and you're going to help us.
Stefan later sits down with his father and tries to convince him to have maybe some compassion toward the vampires. Maybe they're not all bad like you think. Maybe we should give them a chance. This makes Giuseppe super paranoid, and he realizes that Catherine is probably a vampire that has probably been manipulating his sons. So what he does, he spikes Stefan's blood with vervain, feeds him vervain. Then when Catherine is in bed with Stefan and decides to feed on him, she starts to choke on the vervain and basically passes out. Giuseppe and some others run in and grab her, take her out of the house, leaving Stefan very confused. Damon and Stefan both watch as Catherine gets carried away and trapped in like a prison carriage kind of thing. Damon realizes that Stefan is the one who kind of tipped their father off about Catherine being a vampire, and he is very, very mad at Stefan because of it. Ultimately, Damon blames Stefan for Catherine getting captured. This is the night of the attack on the vampires of Mystic Falls. The infamous day in 1864 when all these vampires were put into the church and burned to death. The citizens of Mystic Falls are actually really successful in their attack. They end up getting all the vampires, except Anna. Partially thanks to Jonathan Gilbert's compass invention that we talked about in season 1. The vampire Pearl, Anna's mother, Catherine's friend, has been developing a romantic relationship with Elena and Jeremy's ancestor, Jonathan Gilbert. They're very much in love with each other, and then Jonathan Gilbert's compass points at Pearl. And even though they've been developing this relationship, he immediately betrays her and rounds her up with all the other vampires. So Pearl also gets taken to the church to burn, and Anna is left behind without her mother. That's the overall story we get from the flashbacks in this episode, but there is some main storyline stuff happening as well, so we're gonna talk about that now. The main drama of this episode revolves around getting Emily Bennett's grimoire. And the key to finding the grimoire, or the spell book, is in Jonathan Gilbert's journal. Apparently the journal talks about where this is hidden. Everyone's trying to get the journal.
What are you guys doing?
Dad had this old family journal from years ago. I thought I'd dig it up.
I just did a history report on it.
So where is it now?
I gave it to Mr. Saltzman. He wanted to see it.
Alaric has the journal. He makes some copies of it, just for his own information. Then Anna sneaks into the school and steals the journal from Alaric's desk, but luckily he made copies. But then Stefan shows up. Alaric shoots a stake at him and Stefan just catches it out of midair. It's super badass. Stefan interrogates Alaric and finds out about how Damon probably almost maybe did kill Isabel, who is Alaric's wife and also Elena's mother. Rick and Stefan sort of team up, and Rick allows them to have access to his copy of the journal, which then leads Stefan and Elena to figure out that the grimoire, Emily Bennett's grimoire, was buried with Giuseppe Salvatore in his grave. While Elena and Stefan are doing their digging and dirty work, Damon is also doing his own thing. He sees Anna with Jeremy and puts 2 and 2 together, figures out that she's one of the vampires from 1864. Damon is able to find the motel room where Ben and Anna have been staying, and he breaks in to confront Anna. He and Anna have a little bit of a choking standoff. It's really funny because Damon has to tap out of that battle because Anna is way older than him.
Okay, I am. Okay.
Damn.
Anna tells Damon that she has been in town the entire time and just kind of lurking in the shadows. She's the one who slipped some vampire blood to Logan Fell and got him to be a vampire. She shows Damon the Gilbert journal and the part that talks about Giuseppe having the book. She wants to form an alliance with Damon, and he's like, nah, dude, I work alone. Stefan and Elena went to Giuseppe Salvatore's grave and started digging it up. Damon finds them as well. He comes comes to the same conclusion of where the grimoire is hidden. He sees Stefan and Elena there, who have successfully recovered the grimoire from Giuseppe's grave, and he is fucking pissed, dude. Damon is very upset with Stefan and Elena, but especially Elena. Earlier in this episode, there's a moment between Damon and Elena where he asks her if he can actually trust Stefan, if this alliance is real, if he can count on Stefan to keep his word, which Elena agrees to twice, just blatantly lying to his face. Damon trusted her because in his own weird way, he does view Elena as a friend and someone that he can trust. So this is a really interesting moment where he looks at Stefan and he's basically like, I knew I shouldn't have trusted you.
Sorry. So am I. For thinking for even a second that I could trust you. Because the only one I can count on is me.
And then he looks at Elena.
But you had me fooled.
And he looks genuinely upset and hurt. Then Damon decides to do something terrible and impulsive and grabs Elena, bites his own wrist, feeds his blood to Elena, threatening to turn her into a vampire if Stefan does not comply. Stefan agrees to give the grimoire to Damon because he does not want Elena turning into a vampire. We don't know. We don't want this. And Damon does reluctantly give Elena back to Stefan. After weirdly putting his nose in her hair and sort of caressing her in a very tender way. It's very eerie, if you ask me. At the end of the episode, Stefan and Elena go back to the Gilbert home where Elena is freshening up, maybe changing or something, and Jeremy is downstairs with Stefan, telling him about his friend Anna who's over, which Stefan recognizes the name Anna and has a flashback to seeing Anna in 1864. Stefan freaks out, runs upstairs to Elena's room, and Elena is gone. Ben and Bonnie have been flirting still. Bonnie decides to kiss Ben for the first time, and in kissing him, her witch senses activate, and she figures out that he's a vampire, freaks her out. Once Ben realizes that she's figured out, he just straight up kidnaps her and takes her to the motel. So Anna has kidnapped Elena, and then Ben also has kidnapped Bonnie, and that is the cliffhanger at the end of episode 13. Episode 14? Big one. But before we get into episode 14, there's something that happened back in episode 11 that's going to be more relevant right now. Back when Damon sort of kidnapped Elena and took her on an impromptu road trip to Georgia, Stefan was freaking out and trying to figure out how to find Elena. He goes to Bonnie because at this point, he knows she's a witch, she knows he's a vampire. He asks Bonnie for help finding Elena by trying to teach her how to do a locator spell. Even though it's a relatively simple spell, Bonnie cannot figure out how to do it. Something is going on with her magic. So she runs over to her Grams' house and asks for help figuring out what's going on with her powers. Grams is all like, oh, there's something blocking you. You need to face what's making you afraid. And the thing that was making Bonnie afraid was when Damon frickin' attacked her at the cemetery or the old ruins. So Bonnie goes back there to try and find her power. Meanwhile, she happens to stand perfectly on this spot that has a weak ground, I guess, and she falls down, crashes down into the entrance of the frickin' tomb that was underneath the church where all the vampires have been trapped. We also learn in that episode that Grams, aka Sheila, is extremely powerful. Stefan comes to her house trying to find Bonnie, and Sheila basically can read his mind and knows exactly what to tell him.
I told her to face down her fear. You know exactly why she was scared.
Stefan is able to find Bonnie at the tomb and rescue her. That's how we know where this tomb is. So coming back to episode 14, this is where shit goes down, okay? Lots of things happening here. The vampires are hatching a plan to open up this tomb tonight. They need Bonnie. They need a freaking spell book. Bonnie and Elena are currently being held captive in a motel room with Anna and Ben. Anna calls up Stefan and arranges a meeting with him to try and negotiate how they can work together. They arrange for a meeting at the town square, but before they meet up, Anna runs into Jeremy, who tells her that he likes her and invites her to come to Duke's party tonight. And let me tell you, Duke's freaking party.
I've been texting all day about Duke's party.
No one can stop talking about Duke and how great his parties are. He's back from college. It's Duke's party.
You know how much damage we could do with 10 kegs? Duke's got it all hooked up.
Duke's a douche.
Yeah, douche for 10 kegs.
There's gonna be beer. There's gonna be teenagers. It's gonna be in the graveyard, really close to the ruins where the church and the tomb are. How convenient. But yeah, no, Duke's party sounds sick.
The guy that's throwing it's a total douche, but it's supposed to be fun.
Damon shows up to talk to Anna and basically is like, no, we're not gonna work with you. Meanwhile, Stefan has Sheila do a locator spell to find Bonnie and Elena. He goes to the motel and is able to rescue the girls, leaving Ben behind, cowering behind a bed because they opened up the windows so, you know, the sunlight can get in and burn him. It's very fun to see Ben all pathetic looking like that. Ben is just kind of the worst and he's annoying, so it's nice to see him suffer a little bit. Since Stefan has rescued Bonnie again, this is like the third time Stefan has rescued Bonnie. I think at this point he has earned respect from Sheila, who apparently has now invited him into the house. Like, that's how much she trusts him at this point. I mean, she did not invite him into the house earlier, and also earlier in this episode, Damon came by the house to try and figure out where Bonnie was, and Sheila basically fried his brain with her magic. She's sort of a powerful woman, a baddie, if you will. Anyway, Sheila then agrees to help them open up the tomb that night. But there are stipulations. The rules are you go in, you get Catherine out of the tomb, and you leave. No other vampires in the tomb will be able to escape. They even go to the length of bringing like flamethrower kind of stuff to burn the remaining vampires. Sheila and Bonnie start doing their witchy woo-woo magic stuff, and they are able to successfully open the door to the tomb. Damon enters to look for Catherine, but he takes Elena with him as collateral, sort of, so that they won't like lock him inside the tomb. Meanwhile, Anna does show up at Duke's party to hang out with Jeremy. We've been seeing hints and signs of the last few episodes that Anna does in fact have feelings for Jeremy, and Jeremy really likes her too. Jeremy basically asks her to be his girlfriend. Then Ben comes out of nowhere and whacks Jeremy, knocking him out, and they take him over to the tomb as well. Stefan goes outside the tomb entrance to grab their flamethrower stuff and sees Anna and Ben there with Jeremy, threatening to hurt Jeremy if they don't let Anna in. Now, Anna's motivation to get in the tomb is that her mother, Pearl, was trapped in that tomb as well, and all she wants is to get her mother out. Anna puts Stefan in a place where he has to choose between saving Jeremy from Ben, who's been ordered to kill Jeremy, or stopping Anna from entering the tomb to save her mom. Stefan chooses to save Jeremy and ends up using the flamethrowers on Ben, which is so satisfying. Like, it's so fun to watch him burn in flames and die. I'm sorry, he's just so annoying. Just such an unlikable character.
Can't all be football gods.
Anyway, Anna then walks past Bonnie and Sheila entering the tomb. Bonnie starts panicking and Sheila's like, it's okay, baby, because guess what? There's a seal, like a magical barrier on this tomb designed to keep vampires inside. So Sheila opened the door to the tomb, but did not drop the magical barrier. So any vampires that enter the tomb will not be able to leave. So at this point, Damon and Anna are both trapped in the tomb. Sheila has no intention of lifting that barrier. She wants all the vampires to stay in there, and she warns Stefan too that he shouldn't go in there because he will not be coming back out. Meanwhile, within the tomb, Damon is frantically looking for Catherine and cannot find her anywhere. He starts freaking out, leaves Elena by herself. She is then found by Anna. As an act of revenge against the Gilbert family, Anna had planned to use Jeremy's blood to revive her mother in the tomb, but since Elena was there for the picking, she uses Elena to revive her mom. So Elena gets attacked by mummified vampire. She starts screaming. Stefan hears her screaming. Without a second thought, Stefan bolts into the tomb, effectively trapping himself to save Elena. Bonnie gets really upset about the idea that now Stefan is going to be trapped inside the tomb. Stefan does mean a lot to Elena, and I think because he saved Bonnie so many times, he means a lot to Bonnie as well. Bonnie convinces Grams to lower the barrier, the magical barrier, temporarily to just allow their friends back out of the tomb, and then they can reseal the barrier, keep all the other vampires in. Grams does agree to this, and they start doing a spell to temporarily lower the barrier. Anna and Pearl are the first to escape, and Stefan, after rescuing Elena, runs back to rescue Damon as well. Now, Damon is in the back of this tomb, so upset. Catherine is not in the tomb. He brought a blood bag for her to help revive her. He takes it and just chucks it against the wall. He is throwing a freaking fit. And Stefan is sitting here trying to talk sense into him, trying to get him to come with him. And it's not until Elena runs in and comes up to Damon that Damon finally relents and follows Elena and Stefan out of the tomb. At this point though, Bonnie and Grams have both expended a lot of their magical energy, and Grams especially is completely wiped out. That spell took a lot of power to sustain just to rescue Stefan, really. Side tangent for a minute, in this episode we see a lot of Damon's softness toward Elena come out. Like I said, just barely, he wouldn't leave the tomb until Elena came to get him. But even prior to this, in the episode, there's a moment where Elena's trying to get Damon back on their side to try and rebuild the trust that was broken in the previous episode. She asks Damon why he didn't compel her when they were in Atlanta together, and he basically answers it was because they were having a lot of fun together and he wanted that fun to be real. And ultimately, Elena is able to get back in his good graces and he makes the decision to trust her. So a lot of this episode is showing us that Damon has a huge soft spot for Elena. After they exit the tomb, Damon is pretty saggy and depressed. Elena walks up to him and gives him a hug and tells him that she's sorry. And it's like actually a really sweet moment. Everyone goes home, and first we see Bonnie at home with Grams. Grams is super exhausted and says she's fine, but she just needs to lay down. Grams is not fine. Grams ends up lying down and passing away very quickly. Doing that spell to rescue Stefan drained her so much that it took her life. Besides getting attacked by Damon and almost dying at his hands, this is kind of the first major tragedy that Bonnie has to face because of vampires. Life is not very fair to Bonnie, and this is sort of the beginning of that pattern. Elena takes Jeremy home, and he's acting like he's all confused and didn't know what happened, but apparently even though he was like passed out a lot of the time, he did catch most of what happened that night. Jeremy lies to Elena, pretending like he doesn't remember anything, but immediately after she leaves his room, he goes to his computer and starts looking up vampires on the internet. Smart kid, that one. Jeremy's a little bit big brain, if you ask me. Damon then finds Anna and Pearl with the intent to attack them. Pearl and Anna end up telling Damon that Catherine actually had a pretty major backup plan. Apparently, one of the guards who was helping trap the vampires was completely obsessed with Catherine, and they did a backdoor deal kind of thing. If she would turn him into a vampire, he would help her escape.
The guard, the one at the church, he let her go.
Anna then tells Damon she last saw Catherine in Chicago in 1983.
She knew where you were, Damon. She didn't care.
Dude, ooh! And this fucking breaks Damon, because Catherine knew where he was the whole time. He has spent the last 145 years pining after this woman, waiting for the day he could rescue his one true love. And she didn't even fucking care. Remember how Elena was adopted and her birth mother was a 16-year-old runaway named Isabel who then abandoned Elena? And how Rick's supposedly dead wife was also named Isabel? This episode's kind of all about that. Jenna does some digging on Isabel and finds out that she had a best friend in high school named Trudy. So Elena hunts down this Trudy lady, shows up at her house unannounced, and is like, hey, I think you know who my mom was. Trudy acts super shifty and weird, but lets Elena in. Trudy's behavior is showing that she knows about vampires. Elena asks if she knows about vampires, and then Trudy just basically kicks her out of the house.
I think that you should probably leave.
After Elena leaves, there's like this weird man standing outside on the road, and he ends up going up to Trudy's door.
I didn't tell her anything. I kept my promise.
Good.
Then he ends up coming into Trudy's house and throwing her down the stairs, leading to her death. Damon is having an absolute mental breakdown in this episode. He is just, struggling to the point where he created a compelled harem of women for him to feed on and dance around with. So he's not doing well. Throughout this episode, everyone's asking about Isabel, and Damon remembers that he, in fact, did know this woman named Isabel. Damon slowly starts to realize that Alaric has something to do with Isabel and starts taunting Rick. This is all kind of happening at the Mystic Grill. In the process, Elena figures out that Damon attacked her mother. Elena gets super upset at Damon and goes outside with Stefan, where they end up seeing the guy from earlier from Trudy's house who, like, killed her. Elena recognizes him and is like, whoa, wait, what are you doing here? Then the guy gives her this creepy message of like, stop looking for her, she doesn't want to be found, which confirms that Isabel is in fact alive. That's kind of a stupid plan, Isabel, but whatever. Then this man, after delivering his message about staying away from Isabel and stop trying to find her, he walks out onto the street and gets hit by like a bus or a car or something, and he gone. Stefan realizes that this man was compelled by a vampire. Elena finds his phone on the road, which is unscathed, and she takes that with her. Later that night in her room, she calls back the most recently called number, and Isabel freaking answers the phone.
Was there a problem? Did you find her?
But then hangs up on Elena.
Isabel?
Also that night, Rick shows up at the Salvatore house to confront Damon because Damon basically confessed at the grill earlier that he knew Isabel and he drank her blood.
She was delicious.
So Alaric is at the Salvatore home to confront Damon for killing his wife. Damon then tells Alaric that Isabel actually sought him out and asked him to turn her into a vampire, which he did.
I turned her. She came to me.
He taunts Rick.
I guess she wasn't happy at home. Wasn't happy with you.
Rick then charges at Damon, trying to attack him, and Damon just kills him. Rick is now dead. Stefan comes into the room, and Damon walks away, leaving Stefan to deal with Alaric's dead body sitting on the floor. But shortly after this, Alaric just wakes up, totally fine.
What happened? What's going on?
He looks down at the ring that was given to him by Isabel, and he realizes that it is a supernatural ring, and somehow it saved his life. Isabel gave him this ring before she disappeared and told him to wear it always and promised that it would always protect him. Now we've got some kind of resurrection ring in the mix, so things are getting kind of fun. Elena's birth mother is a frickin' vampire. That's the main arc for this episode, but there's a couple more really important things to talk about. First of all, Matt and Caroline doing great, but then Matt's mom comes home, and Matt's mom is the worst. She is so rude to Caroline, has some like bitchy grudge against her, and then acts like super emotionally manipulative toward Matt later in the episode, whining to him that Matt is all she has left because her boyfriend broke up with her, even though she's basically been abandoning Matt for months and months at a time.
You're all I have left. Please don't leave me.
I'm not going anywhere.
Matt's mom is absolute trash. She's not a good person. She's terrible. And she is back in town. So, remember in the last episode when Sheila and Bonnie were doing this spell to temporarily lower the barrier, the magic barrier on the tomb? Apparently Sheila died for absolutely nothing because they did not successfully re-raise the barrier, and all of the vampires who were trapped in the tomb are now out, wandering around, doing their thing. Pearl and Anna have set up a sort of home base in the woods somewhere by compelling an older woman who lives alone, taking control of her house, and making it a sanctuary for all the tomb vampires. Bunch of vampires in this house, and now that's in the mix as well. Episode 16 may be the only episode in all of the Vampire Diaries where Stefan and Elena just get to have a nice day together, you know? I mean, it's not perfect. You can't have a perfect day in the Vampire Diaries, but for the most part, everything is like going good. Since Caroline and Matt are together now, and Matt used to be with Elena, Elena's now with Stefan, Caroline sort of plans a loyalty test date night for Matt to just like help things not be so awkward. I guess, saying that they should all do a double date with one another, basically. But Caroline gets pretty jealous on this date night because Matt and Elena have a lot of conversations where they're reminiscing about their childhood or things that happened when they were dating. But then we get to see Stefan's old little buggy sports car thing. Sorry, I don't know cars, guys. Sorry. He lets Matt take Caroline out in the sports car. Matt ends up clearing the air with Caroline.
Did I pass? The whole double date thing was obviously a test.
Saying basically, yeah, I know Elena and I have history, but I want to be here with you.
I was there because I wanted to be with you.
I want to be in the car with you, and you're the person I want to be making out with right now. So then that makes her feel better, and then they make out in Stefan's car. Unfortunately, the date night is kind of ruined by Damon and Matt's mom, Kelly. Her name is Kelly, by the way. Kelly and Damon run into each other at the bar. They decide to get super wasted, and then they go back to the Salvatore boarding house to giggity goo, and they get caught by like Matt.
Mom?
Oh my God, Matt.
It's just so uncomfortable. Matt gets super mad at his mom, and that kind of ends the date night on a note. On definitely an interesting note. But you know what? Stefan and Elena did get to have a nice, relatively drama-free day together. One other drama that happened was earlier, they were at the Mystic Grill, the infamous grill. Elena went to the bathroom, and as she's walking out of the bathroom, one of the tomb vampires is out and about. This guy, his name's Frederick. He sucks. We don't like Frederick. Frederick is, he is the problematic vampire of Miss Pearl's vampire crew. Definitely the problem child. Pearl had told everybody they're not supposed to go out because she's making some kind of plan to enact vampire domination in Mystic Falls. She and the other vampires are working with Anna to learn how to like assimilate into modern society.
The keypad is for texting when you want to avoid talking to someone.
And Pearl is hatching some master plan to help the vampires run Mystic Falls, basically, you know. Pearl approaches Damon actually earlier that day. She wants him to like use his knowledge about the town and his in with the Founders Council to help her enact her master plan. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then she just stabs his eyes with her thumbs because she can. Yeah, Pearl is super strong and super scary and intimidating, and I'm in love with her, maybe? Anyway, so Frederick, problem child, right? Frederick disobeys Pearl's orders to stay in, and he takes this other vampire girl, his vampire girlfriend, Beth Ann. He takes her out on the town to go, you know, peruse amongst the people. It's there that when Elena's walking out of the bathroom, he sees her, and he says, Catherine.
Catherine.
And Elena's like, oh, that's not...
I'm sorry, you have the wrong person.
She goes over to Stefan and types on her phone, that guy over there just called me Catherine. They are like, well, that's a problem, but let's not worry about it right now because we're trying to have a nice time today. After their date night ends, thanks to Damon and Kelly, Frederick and Beth Ann just show up at the Salvatore boarding house to attack the Salvatore brothers. They blame the Salvatore brothers for them getting caught and shit, you know, being trapped in a tomb for 145 years. The Salvatore brothers do come out on top on this one, and they end up killing Beth Ann. Yeah. So Frederick, who was a dumbass and disobeyed Pearl's orders, went out and got his girlfriend killed, goes home to tell Pearl the unfortunate news. Pearl stabs him in the stomach with a wooden spoon just to be like, yeah, dumbass, listen to me next time. Throughout this whole day, Anna has been pining over Jeremy. At the end of the day, she goes to visit him. Little does she know, Jeremy has been researching vampires quite extensively, and he is pushing to get answers from her. He keeps bringing up vampire stuff, and she keeps pushing off the conversation. Then they're making dinner together, and Jeremy intentionally cuts his hand open, puts it in front of Anna's face to taunt her, and then she like zooms and like pushes him against the fridge and is like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Jeremy, you crazy head? And Jeremy's like, Knew it. Gives her permission to drink from his hand, and she totally does. Jenna then comes home, and Anna vampire speed zooms out of there, leaving Jeremy by himself, and he smiles to himself. He's like super proud of what he just did. Later that night, Anna shows up in Jeremy's room, and she's like super mad at him. And Jeremy ends up telling her about Vicky, and how Vicky kind of mysteriously disappeared without an explanation, and he thinks that Vicky may be turned into a vampire.
Why would you confront me about it?
Because if it was true, maybe it's true about Vicky.
And he wants Anna to turn him into a vampire.
I want you to turn me.
Oh boy, episode 17 is wild. Frederick, the tomb vampire problem child, decides that he's sick of Pearl being the boss, and so he decides to do a coup. And he basically gets all the vampires in on this plan. As part of Frederick's act of defiance against Pearl, he decides to retaliate against the Salvatore brothers. He and his vampire goon friends kidnap Stefan while he's out hunting for bunnies to eat. Hungry, hungry Stefan. He's a hungry, hungry boy. But now he's done been kidnapped. They take him back to their home base house and tie him up with vervain ropes and start like torturing him basically. Damon realizes what happened to Stefan, and he plots a whole plan to get Stefan out of there. He recruits Elena and Alaric to help rescue Stefan. Damon really wants Alaric to help because he's got vampire hunting skills and he has a freaking magic ring that will resurrect him if a vampire kills him. Pretty handy guy to have around, you know? Elena comes along and she has like a vervain dart to knock out a vampire in case of emergency, but Damon tells her she needs to stay in the car and not go near the house because there are a frick ton of vampires around here and she will get dead if she's not careful. Damon and Alaric basically do like a heist where Alaric pretends to just need to use the phone because his car broke down, and then he goes into the house and just starts like killing vampires without any of the others noticing. Then Alaric brings the homeowner, who's named Miss Gibbons. He brings her to the front door as Damon requested him to do, has her step outside, and Damon just kills her so that he could get into the house, which is crazy. So yeah, no, sweet old Miss Gibbons is gone, but Damon can enter and exit the house willy-nilly since there's no homeowner. And before you ask, no, they couldn't have just asked her nicely to invite Damon into the house because Frederick earlier compelled her to never let Damon in. So unfortunately, she had to go. It's Frederick's fault, okay? This one's on Frederick. Elena breaks the rules, sneaks into the house, and is able to help Damon rescue Stefan. Elena sneaks Stefan out of the house, and then Damon and Alaric go apeshit, and they just kill all the vampires in the house. It's insane. It's awesome. Frederick realizes that Stefan got rescued, and he ends up going after Stefan and Elena. Stefan, keep in mind, was already hungry when he got kidnapped, so he has had no sustenance, and then he got tortured. So Stefan is not doing so hot right now. Stefan is very weak at the moment, and Frederick is just kicking his ass so hard. Frederick is about to stake Stefan when Elena comes up and vervain darts him in the back, and Frederick flops over. Stefan is now so weak, he can't even move. He can't get up. Elena decides to make the choice to save Stefan's life by ending his human blood sobriety. She gives Stefan permission to feed on her, to drink her blood. Initially, he refuses, and she basically forces him to do it so that he can survive, and he does. Stefan drinks Elena's blood. And the cinematography, when Stefan is feeding on Elena, is amazing. And I do mean that sarcastically. They spent a long time focusing on Elena's face and her body's over him. She's just like moaning and stuff, and it's just like a weirdly sexual scene when he's like drinking her blood. It is very dramatic and made me a little bit uncomfortable. But this is Stefan's first time having blood in like decades, so, you know, it's kind of a big deal. Meanwhile, Frederick is starting to wake up and Stefan has been fully revived. Stefan basically becomes a madman. Like, he goes apeshit on Frederick. Like, just unnecessary damage, you know, like the kind of damage that you do when it's personal. And Elena is trying to calm him down, and he turns around and like does a growl at Elena, like he's just completely lost his mind. Elena looks really shocked and disturbed at seeing this side of Stefan, because none of us have seen this side of Stefan before. Later they talk about this, and Elena tells Stefan she's sorry and she feels guilty for giving him blood. He tells her that it's okay, that he's calmed down and he's gonna be fine. But later, Damon walks in on Stefan going through his blood bag stash and absolutely pounding blood. And this is just the beginning, folks. After their little heist together, Damon finds Alaric at the bar and is basically like, we're awesome. We just killed a bunch of vampires. Like, we're kind of a good team a little bit. And then Rick just punches him in the face, which I think is appropriate. Caroline in this episode ends up having to go to a birthday party for her dad's boyfriend's daughter. Side note, when she and Matt say goodbye to each other, he kisses her so sweetly and tenderly. Just the way that he looks at her, it's perfect. On her drive, Caroline gets stuck in a muddy back road out in like boondocks, middle of nowhere. She doesn't have any cell service. She ends up wandering around to try and get some cell service, slips down a hill, and ends up finding Vicky's dead body. Yeah. There's a really cool scene after this where Caroline shows back up at Matt's house with her mom, who's the sheriff. It's a really good show don't tell kind of scene. Like, they don't say that Vicky's dead, but you just know. And there's a scene where everyone is there at the house just sort of grieving together. You see Liz comforting Kelly Donovan, which is really interesting because Kelly has relentlessly bullied her since they were kids. But here we have Liz sitting here comforting Kelly. We also see Jeremy and Tyler in the house sitting at the kitchen table together. It feels like all the beef that Tyler and Jeremy have been having with each other this whole season is suddenly just gone because Vicky is gone. She was more important than whatever fight they were having with each other. There's also a huge emotional moment where Caroline goes to find Matt in his room, and Matt says that he just wants to be alone. You know, he doesn't want any attention from her. But then Elena shows up. She hugs him and he cries, and you see Caroline looking on from the bedroom, just looking so hurt. There's just so many emotions happening in this scene. I just think it's super cool. Throughout the episode, Anna and Jeremy have been bantering with each other. Anna has been saying, no, I'm not going to turn you into a vampire. And Jeremy's been like, come on, turn me into a vampire.
Not ready's a step up from no.
A million steps down from maybe.
And at some point, Pearl finds out that Anna has been flirting with Jeremy and that she likes him, and she gets super upset because Jeremy is a Gilbert. And the Gilberts betrayed her, so she does not like that this is happening. So much so that she slaps Anna in the face, which is wild. And after that, Anna's like, all right, fuck it. Yeah, I'll turn you into a vampire. Let's do this. She shows up later that night in Jeremy's room, ready to turn him into a vampire, and she finds him an absolute wreck. Because this is after the point where he has found out that Vicky is dead. Anna realizes that he didn't actually want to turn into a vampire to be with her. He wanted to try and be with Vicky.
I'm sorry.
A new character shows up in episode 18. This character is Uncle frickin' John. Uncle John. Not to be confused with Jonathan Gilbert. This is just John Gilbert. He's the modern day John. Nobody likes John. Elena doesn't like John. Matt doesn't like John. Jenna doesn't like John. Nobody likes John. But yeah, Uncle John just shows up out of nowhere like, I'm here now and you're gonna have to be fine with that. Nobody's fine with it. Everyone hates John.
Can't you at least pretend that you're happy to see me?
Oh my god, John, it is so good to see. No, I can't.
Damon is now at a point with the Founders Council that he's being invited to their meetings. So Damon's at a Founders Council meeting with Liz, his new cop bestie. Apparently John is on the council as well, which adds a whole new layer to this, and it sucks. It's annoying. He's the worst. I mean, if we're looking at it from an objective perspective of like what is objectively better and safer for the town of Mystic Falls, John is actually pretty great. He is actually quite concerned about the vampire problem in this town. He's probably the best thing this town has right now. So in episode 17, we're left with a cliffhanger of Stefan just pounding blood bags, just demolishing some blood. Stefan he wants to go cold turkey, all right? It's been a few days since Stefan drank Elena's blood, and he's all like, I'm good. I think I'm off the blood high. I can be around Elena again. So Stefan hangs out with Elena. They start making out. Okay. And Stefan starts getting all riled up, vamp mode, almost like against his will. He has this urge to bite her. Rather than hurt Elena, Stefan uses his willpower to throw himself against the wall. And Stefan's like, whoa, I gotta go. Stefan leaves. Elena's a little concerned. She gives Damon a call. Like, Damon, what the F? Something's going on with Stefan. There's a funny moment when Damon gets to the house and like Jeremy and Jenna are downstairs. And Elena's trying to get him to come upstairs so they can talk in private.
No, Elena, I will not go to your bedroom with you.
Damon is just so funny. He's always got the one-liners, you know what I mean? Damon and Elena talk in her room about Stefan, and Damon implies that Stefan really needs to learn how to use moderation with his vampirism. Because as much as Stefan doesn't want to be a human-eating vampire, he is, you know, and he has to kind of find a way to manage that side of himself. He needs to embrace his vampirism and find balance. At least this is what Damon is saying. There's a line Damon has here that's really ominous and like so good. I love the way he delivers this as well.
If you think there's not another part to this, then you have not been paying attention.
If you think there's not another part to this, then you have not been paying attention. Ooh, that's so good. That's such good writing.
He's not you.
Well, he doesn't want to be me. That doesn't mean deep down that he's not.
The shit is so fucking good. Meanwhile, we cut to Stefan back at home, downing alcohol to try and curb the blood cravings, which alcohol apparently does help vampires curb their cravings for blood. And Stefan is like shaking. He's having major withdrawals, I guess. Like, Stefan's just not doing okay. Apparently, vampires like drink a lot. We will be seeing this for the remainder of the series. There is so much alcohol, but it's okay. They're vampires and their livers are forever renewing and perfect, and it helps them, you know, crave their cravings for blood. So alcohol is basically like medicine for vampires, okay? Later that night, there is yet another fancy party. This town is pretty big on parties, if you haven't noticed. Pretty much everybody's there at the party tonight. John is at the party. Matt and his mom Kelly show up at the party. So, you know, lots of partiers at the party. Stefan and Damon also show up at the party, and Stefan is really working on curbing those cravings, and he is wasted as hell.
Are you drunk?
He asks Elena to dance, which is a big deal because Stefan hates dancing. He did like fancy 50s style dancing with Elena one time at a party and then said, never expect to see that again because I hate doing that.
Would you like to dance with me?
You hate dancing.
Then he goes and compels the DJ of the party to play dance music, even though the DJ was explicitly told to only play like classical fancy music. Stefan doesn't care. He's like, no, we're doing a dance party.
Have I entered an alternate universe where Stefan is fun?
Is he gonna be okay?
Jeremy is also at this party, and Jeremy, with the recent news about Vicky being dead, has been inquiring heavily into Vicky's cause of death. Now, Liz, through her power as sheriff, she's able to officially report Vicky's cause of death as an overdose. Now, we know Jeremy obsessed with Vicky, all right? This man has been in love with Vicky since episode 1. He feels like something is super off with this. He can tell this is not normal. How could she have just died of an overdose and then someone buried her? Like, who buried her? What happened? He's just not feeling good about all this not lining up. Jeremy tries to talk to Elena about it, and he can tell that Elena is lying about something, which gets Jeremy's gears turning even more. Jeremy actually ends up leaving the party early that night and goes home to snoop around Elena's room. He ends up finding her diary and reads through it all the way. Jeremy learns everything from Elena's diary. Oops. We'll get more into that in the coming episodes, but for now, let's get back to the party. Remember how I said Matt and his mother, Kelly Donovan, are at this freaking party? And remember how Kelly is the worst? Yeah, she ends up hitting on Tyler, and Tyler, like, goes for it. Ew. Kelly and Tyler are out on the balcony talking about Vicky and how they don't have anyone to talk to about Vicky.
You're nice to talk to me. I don't have anyone to talk to.
I don't have anyone to talk to either.
Which is not true for either of them, but they just get all horny and start making out. And then Matt is inside, is like, I need to get some air. Matt goes outside, sees his mom making out with his classmate. Kelly, keep your hands to yourself, Kelly. So there's a bit of a scuffle that happens, and Kelly ends up getting like a pretty significant gash on her head, like a cut on her head. And then she goes back inside the party and is crying and being like, oh, poor me. Why does this always happen to me? Why am I such a terrible person? I ruined it. What is wrong with me? I don't know, bitch. Figure it out. You're a grown woman. Oh my God. But then Stefan walks past her while she's crying and notices the blood on her forehead. As soon as Stefan smells her blood, he just has this flip inside of him. He switches into like serial killer mode. He touches the blood, gets it on his fingers, and then just starts like having an existential crisis. Stefan panics, goes outside, but still has that blood on his fingers. And then while, outside in private, starts licking the freaking blood off his fingers. Gross. Then Stefan ends up disappearing from the party, and we'll get back to that. We get another werewolf tease moment with Tyler. His dad gets all mad at him and like slaps him and shit and is like, this is the last time you ever embarrass this family. And Tyler's just like, I lost control. I can't explain it. I don't know what happened to me.
Dad, I'm sorry. I don't even know what happened. I was drinking and lost control.
Tyler apparently just has these crazy urges, his werewolf powers when mixed with alcohol. Side effects may be making out with your friend's mom. I don't know, it just happened.
Can't explain it.
Then, shit at this party gets even worse, okay? Damon's out chilling on a balcony. John comes out to talk to Damon on the balcony. John clearly somehow knows that Damon is a vampire already.
There was a tomb under the church. Vampires were waiting for someone to come along and set them free. But then you already knew that, being that you're the one that did it.
He knows everything. It's wild.
You know that I could rip your throat out before anyone would notice, right? Yeah, okay.
And Damon, a very impulsive thinker, decides to just kill John. Like, he just snaps his neck and throws him over the balcony, and then is just like, walks away. Insane. That's insane behavior. Back inside, there's this ceremony with the town charter bell. This is the first we ever see or hear of the charter bell, which ends up being a big deal in like the last season. So here's a preview of the charter bell. Very exciting. Wow. Yes, the charter bell. Forget about it until season 8. They're doing this ceremony where like someone's gonna ring the charter bell, and guess who walks in to ring the bell? Yeah, Uncle John, the one Damon just killed. Uncle John walks in, rings the charter bell ceremonially, looks Damon right in the eye like, gotcha. Damon then looks at John's hands and notices he's wearing a fancy ring. He goes up to Alaric.
Town's favorite son, look at his ring.
Looks like mine. He didn't just come back from the dead
5 minutes ago.
John also has a fancy magical resurrection ring. Now here's the thing. Alaric got his magical fancy resurrection ring from Isabel. The odds are, very likely, John and Isabel knew each other as well. So Damon and Alaric approach John. They are like questioning him, and John knows everything.
Alaric Saltzman, a high school history teacher with a secret.
He knows everything about Alaric. He knows everything about Damon and Stefan, and he even knows about Catherine Pierce. Yeah, the vampire Catherine. What's going on here? After the party, Elena goes back home. In her room, Stefan is just there, lurking behind her, scares the shit out of her, which I'm glad that they actually made that something scary, not romantic, because yeah, that'd be freaky as hell. I'm glad we're being, realistic. Never scratch that. Point is, I appreciate that they're not trying to make him sneaking into her room and showing up out of nowhere a romantic thing, okay? Stefan confesses to Elena that he is not doing okay. He starts explaining to Elena what's going on with him, and it sounds like he's having some kind of mental breakdown combined with like an intense withdrawal.
I feel like my skin is on fire. I have this hunger inside of me.
Stefan is pretty erratic right now, and he's saying that he has never felt this level of hunger before, which, knowing Stefan's history, that's a big deal. Stefan tells Elena that he's really, really scared about what he can do to her. And Elena, so dumb right here. The dumbest. Elena is so dumb.
I'm afraid of what I could do to you.
I'm not. Stefan, I'm not.
This is the dumbest thing she's done all day. She gets closer to him, starts kissing him. I'm not scared. I'm not. Luckily, it works for her because she's fucking Elena Gilbert.
I love you so much.
Do not try this at home if you are not Elena Gilbert. After this whole night's over, Stefan goes back home. He runs into Damon. And you can just tell here that Stefan has fully swapped into his dark side. Damon can tell that something about Stefan is different.
It's different this time, isn't it? The need is too strong.
Foolishly, Damon leaves behind his glass of blood that he was drinking. You know, he leaves it behind for Stefan to partake, sort of encouraging him. And it's a problem. Something I think is really fun about Stefan's character is he does have a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde thing going on, a little bit of a good side, bad side, and we are starting to see his more evil, sinister side start to peek through. Something I really love about the Vampire Diaries is it takes a lot of care and focus into the humanity of each character. Everybody at one point or another we're gonna see has like a dark side and a good side, and everybody makes questionable choices and everybody ends up making good choices. Everyone in this show ends up being so morally gray, and we are beginning to see a side of Stefan that, oh my goodness, we have not seen before, and holy shit, I love it. I love that this is how the story goes. Okay, so episode 19 though, wild. Sheriff Forbes tells Damon one of the local hospitals had a pretty major robbery from one of their blood banks. A ton of blood bags were stolen, you know, not a subtle thing that a vampire has done. So Liz is like, Damon, you gotta help me investigate. Seems like there's more vampires out and about. Obviously, Damon then concludes that Stefan was the one who stole all the blood bags, so he approaches Stefan about it. Stefan just goes into full-on denial mode and lies straight to Damon's face.
I'm clean.
You're lying.
Believe what you want.
He has not been having any human blood. No human blood for Stefan. He's fine. He's not fine. Damon later follows Stefan downstairs to find his secret fridge stacked full of blood, calls him out on his bullshit, and then they start talking about the Jekyll and Hyde thing that I mentioned before.
I know what it's like. There's that switch. Sometimes it goes off and you snap. It's not a good time for me to be worried about you snapping.
Since Damon has been practicing moderation for the last 145 years, you know, not going into deep addiction and shame cycles, Damon has a healthy relationship with blood and is able to better control that Jekyll and Hyde switch feeling. This is a skill apparently Stefan has not bothered to work on at all.
Please do me a favor and back off.
He starts off his day lying to Damon and lying to Elena.
Does that mean you're okay now?
Yeah, I mean, the worst part is over.
But then has like a shit ton of empty blood bags in the trunk of his car that he's hiding from Elena. And it's perfect timing too, because we are prepping for the Mystic Falls Miss Mystic pageant. The Miss Mystic pageant, big deal to Caroline, okay? Caroline is all about the pageant. Elena completely forgot that the pageant was going to happen. She actually signed up for her mom because her mom really wanted her to do it, and now her mom's dead, and so now she's kind of doing it to honor her mother, but Caroline wants to freaking win, okay? So we get to see Bonnie for the first time in a while, and she is acting super cold to Elena. Apparently she and Elena have not talked in a while, like really at all, since Grams died, but Bonnie and Caroline have been talking every single day, and Bonnie has been completely ignoring Elena. They talk about it, and Bonnie is very clear about how she feels. Bonnie points out that her Grams died to try and keep all those other vampires in the tomb. The spell didn't work, and her grandma basically died for nothing. And you know whose fault it is? Stefan and Damon. Bonnie is very upset with Stefan and Damon, appropriately so. Bonnie basically sets a boundary that she needs distance from Elena if Elena's going to continue to associate with these vampires. Pretty fair. You know, maybe it's just me, but that seems pretty fair. They have a rehearsal for the pageant. There's a special dance that they're supposed to be doing with their escort at the pageant, which this is very important, by the way. This dance is about the intimacy of near touch with a partner.
No. There's no touching during this part.
It's supposed to be this very romantic dance that was invented in the 1860s or whatever when the town was invented. Something like that.
If you ask me, the near touch is overrated.
Big chunk of this episode is going to happen at the Miss Mystic Falls pageant night, but before then, Damon is having an interesting day today. John Gilbert approaches Damon, essentially tries to blackmail him. John just knows like everything, and he knows about Pearl and Anna as well. He also happens to know that Pearl is in possession of an invention that belonged to Jonathan Gilbert back in the 1860s. John basically threatens to expose Damon as a vampire to the whole Founders Council if he doesn't get him this invention thing, and Damon's like, okay, then I'll just kill everybody and then I'll kill you. It's like, that's fine, tell them.
Go for it. I'll kill every last one of them. Pull your ring off and I'll kill you too.
But this gives Damon some information to work with. He approaches Anna and is like, hey Anna, there's this thing that John Gilbert's looking for and I kind of don't want him to have it. So if you could get it to me, that would be great. Anna and Pearl, at the end of this episode, decide to make peace with Damon and apologize for all the trouble that they caused with the tomb vampires by just giving him this invention that Pearl stole from Jonathan Gilbert. No strings attached. So Damon, by the end of this, is now in possession of the thing that John Gilbert wants to have for some mysterious reason. Jeremy is also causing a little mischief in this episode. He approaches Anna again, calls her out for using him, because apparently Elena recorded in her journal that Anna was initially intending to use Jeremy's blood to revive her mother, but then ended up using Elena's blood, you know, remember that? So Jeremy's trying to get back in with Anna, and he's like, look, let's clean the slate. You used me, I used you to try and become a vampire to get back to Vicky, but Vicky's dead, and apparently she wanted to like hurt me and kill my sister and stuff, so I'm over Vicky now, and I really like you. So Jeremy and Anna are sort of back on their shenanigans. We'll have to see where that leads. Now to get into the juicy juice of this episode. The Miss Mystic pageant night, okay? Pageant night! Pageant night! Ah! While Elena is getting ready for the pageant in the dressing room, Damon does a little vampire zoom to her in the dressing room and is like, hey, we gotta freaking talk about Stefan because Stefan is acting a little wild. Tells Elena Stefan has been drinking blood. Stefan lied to Elena and told her that he's not, so Elena's a little bit upset. Stefan then walks in on their conversation and is like, what's going on? And Elena's like, Stefan, I know about the blood. I know what's going on. What the heck? Then Carol Lockwood, who's facilitating the Miss Mystic Falls pageant, she comes in and is like, Stefan, you're not supposed to be in here. Escorts are supposed to wait downstairs. Get out of here. So then Stefan, having this bomb dropped on him, leaves the room. He's panicking. He goes into the bathroom, shatters the mirror with his fist because he's going nuts. Then this other girl who's in the pageant named Amber, she walks into the bathroom and sees Stefan in his like vampire mode. He just like kidnaps her, compels her, and they book it. He goes. Elena is the last to walk down the stairs for her grand entrance for this pageant and have her escort accept her and walk with her at the bottom of the stairs, okay? But Stefan, nowhere to be seen. Does not show up for Elena in any minuscule form. This gives Damon an opportunity to step into gentleman mode and take Stefan's place for this whole frickin' thing and the dance and everything. And Damon just switches it on. He is like gentleman to the max out of nowhere. Elena's all worried because they don't know where Stefan is, and Damon's like, it's okay, let's just get through this freaking dance, we can do this. Which, now that I think about it, actually kind of a jerk move to tell Elena about Stefan's problems in the middle of this pageant happening. I mean, you couldn't have waited until it was over, dude. Like, you had to spill the beans right now. That one's on Damon. Damon kind of fucked this up a little bit. We're gonna let it slide because it's weirdly like a pivotal moment for the show. Damon and Elena get to experience the intimacy of near touch.
There's no touching during this part.
And it's like scarily romantic for Elena, and a very exciting moment for those who are Team Damon. Stefan and Damon both are, you know, equally heartthrobs of this show. Whether or not you like Stefan or Damon, I think it depends a lot on your childhood. Stefan is typically the choice for people who had a more well-rounded, healthy life growing up, and Damon is for the people with daddy issues. Probably got some daddy issues or mommy issues or both. It's just a phenomenon I've observed a little bit. Let me know if that tracks. So while Damon is schmoozing on Stefan's girl, Stefan is out having an existential crisis again. He's out with Amber and he's compelled her to like be calm and just listen to him. She's basically become an AI that's just there to positively support him through his thought processes.
You seem sad.
I'm not sad. I'm freaking hungry.
Stefan's obsessing over whether or not he's going to suck her blood, and she's just like super agreeable and encouraging.
If I give in, there's no going back.
Then don't.
I just want one taste.
One taste.
Stefan does decide to feed on Amber, and he goes back and forth between talking and going through his situation, trying to figure out how he's gonna work this out with Elena, and then also sucking Amber's blood. He's kind of like going back and forth between these two things. And Stefan is doing this for hours. He starts before the pageant even begins, and he's doing this into the night, going back and forth, like trying to figure out his shit. Then he's all like, Amber, why aren't you scared of me? And she's like, you told me not to be. And he goes, oh, well, I need you to be scared of me and I need you to run away. So she gets scared, she runs away. So at this point, it's dark. The pageant has ended and Stefan now hunts down Amber. By the way, Caroline did win Miss Mystic Falls, which is great for her. She's very happy and excited about it. We love this for Caroline. As the pageant ends, everybody realizes no one was able to find Amber the entire time, so they start a search party for her finally. Damon, Bonnie, and Elena end up going out together and they find Stefan attacking Amber. They are trying to get him to stop. And Stefan is just not listening to anybody. He's completely in this irrational, erratic state. So Bonnie, who luckily was willing to come along, she fries his brain. Yeah, Bonnie just fries Stefan's brain. So good. After his brain gets fried, he sort of comes to and is like, oh crap, I gotta get out of here. Slinks away into the night. Sheriff Forbes then catches up to them and is like, did you guys see anything? Damon and Elena both lie, saying they don't know what happened, and they look at Bonnie, who hesitantly, you can tell on her face she does not want to do this, but Bonnie also lies to protect Stefan. After this, Bonnie sets some very clear boundaries with Elena. Basically like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
Bonnie, please. Please just leave me alone.
Bonnie is so rational and so right for that. Honestly, this is where Elena loses me a little bit. I don't know how she could still have feelings for Stefan after seeing that side of him. Me personally, if my romantic interest sort of just snapped and almost killed somebody, I would not feel attracted to them anymore. You know, maybe it's just a me thing. I don't get Elena on this one. She's still diehard for Stefan. Later that night, Elena shows up in Stefan's room as if she's lost her mind. You know, she's like, Stefan, I can change you. And Stefan's like, you crazy bitch. I am a psychopath. Can't you see this?
It's who I am, Elena.
No, you can't scare me off. This isn't you.
Stop saying that!
Stefan gets really aggressive with Elena, like borderline violent here, where he pushes her up against the dresser and like slams his hands to the sides of her head. Just like really intense and uncalled for. Seeing how much he scares Elena, this softens Stefan. He starts to collapse and like apologize profusely to Elena. She's like, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. Boom, stabs him with vervain. Hell yeah, it was a ploy. She was trying to knock him out, and she did. He's been knocked out. Damon and Elena both lock Stefan in the cell in the basement. After they lock him in there, we see them both just sit down in silence outside of the cell, which goes to show how much they both really, really care about Stefan and they want him to be okay again. It's actually really tender seeing them sitting there just to like process what they're feeling and not want to leave him alone. It's sweet. Episode 20, huge. Big deal. Big episode. The biggest thing we get to see here is more of Damon and Stefan's origin story, looking into how they became vampires in the first place. But before we get into that, I've got to tell you about all the other stuff that happens in this episode, because there's a lot. John basically invites Pearl out to lunch to try and convince her to give him the Gilbert invention, the one she just gave to Damon in the previous episode. At first, he's like super smooth and he's very good at manipulating her, and then he just goes into asshole mode. He's just so awful to Pearl. He brings up Jonathan Gilbert's old journals.
Yes, he wrote about you. You were his one regret. On his last days, he wrote how sorry he was. You were the only woman he ever loved.
He was so in love with you. He regretted turning you in to have you like burned in the church and stuff.
He loved you and he hated himself for what he did to you.
And then he flip-flops on Pearl and is like, haha, just kidding. No, he hated you. He hated your guts.
Good God. His only regret was that he didn't drive a stake through your heart himself.
First of all, just so rude to do that. Pearl has had enough of it. She's like, all right, you know what? I gave the device to Damon, so good luck, bitch, and walks away. Not good move, because now she's no longer useful to John. He ends up going to her house later and kills her out of the blue, you know, in cold blood, because John is a freaking monster. He's the worst. Again, he's technically the good guy. If you're looking from an objective perspective, like, the vampires are not good to have in your town, but still, where was Anna during all this, you might be wondering? Well, Anna was hanging out with Jeremy, because she and Jeremy are basically dating now. She registers for school to spend more time with him, and they're like hanging out together all day long. Things are going great. But then Anna goes home to find her mother and friend dead, so not great for Anna. Damon and Alaric do a little bit of investigative work into John to try and figure out what he's up to, and they end up finding out that John has been helping out the remaining tomb vampires, the ones that Damon and Alaric didn't kill. John has been helping them assimilate back into society for some reason. And this just leaves Alaric and Damon more confused. It's also super funny because Damon keeps roping Alaric into all these side missions, and Alaric at the beginning of this one is like, okay, we're gonna keep this chill.
Could we not kill anyone tonight, please?
And then they end up killing a vampire. Damon calls Alaric out on it, and it's super funny.
Let's not kill anyone tonight. Your words, just pointing that out.
Just pointing that out. Alaric and Damon also have this cute little bonding conversation where Alaric decides he is finally done trying to find Isabel. He doesn't care about her anymore. He's ready to just let it go.
I can't keep searching for her.
Really? After only 2 years?
That's actually moderately healthy.
Because, you know, Damon was pining after Catherine for 145 years, so it's funny. And they laugh and they bond over the fact that they both have been dedicating their lives to finding these women they're in love with who want nothing to do with them. It's cute. And this is one reason why Damon is just such a lovable character, even though he's a piece of shit equally as much as he is lovable, because he's actually really good at forming these bonds and connections with people who are just humans. Like, he actually does care about people, and he does have the ability to make good friends. Later that night, Alaric is at the bar, and Isabel shows up at the bar.
Hello, Rick.
Isabel.
She's like, and she looks so hot. Oh my God, Isabel's like, never mind. Okay, anyway. The main story of this episode is so good. So let's get into that now. We get another flashback to 1864, resuming kind of where the last flashback left off. Remember how Catherine got like kidnapped and taken away from the Salvatore brothers, and they're like, oh no, Catherine's gone. So now they are plotting to rescue her. Catherine is being held captive in like a little prison carriage kind of thing, and Stefan and Damon get it open and start dragging Catherine out. As they are untying her, getting her free, Damon gets freaking shot and dead. And guess what else? Stefan then shot. We then get this super cool parallel between Catherine and Elena, where Stefan is laying there dying and he's looking at Catherine. Catherine says, "I love you, Stefan." We see Elena in the modern day saying, "I love you, Stefan," as well.
I love you, Stefan.
And Elena's looking through on the other side of the cell door, looking as if she's trapped as well, kind of like Catherine. Like, it's a really cool parallel. Oh, it's so good. It's so cool, especially knowing more about Catherine's story. Oh, it's like chills worthy. Continuing the flashback, Stefan and Damon both wake up. They're out at this little spot by the water with Emily Bennett there. Emily's kind of helping them wake up because they are in the process of transitioning into vampires. Stefan is all confused. He's like, I thought I'm dead. Am I not dead? And Emily's like, no, yeah, you're dead. You're transitioning. Catherine fed you her blood like every day just because she wanted to eventually turn you into a vampire. Emily is now telling them, you have the decision whether to become a vampire or to just die. Up to you. Emily also gives them their daylight rings that apparently Catherine had her make for them. So daylight rings were magically spelled by Emily Bennett, the witch, who was Catherine's like best friend, and Catherine gave them as a gift to Stefan and Damon, even though she pieced out and wanted nothing to do with them for 145 years. Stefan has a minute to consider whether or not he wants to become a vampire, but Damon has already decided that he is ready to die. Because at this point, he still thinks that Catherine has been killed, and there's no point becoming a vampire if Catherine's not going to be there, obviously. Stefan eventually also decides that he's not going to become a vampire. He needs some closure with his father. He then goes and talks to his father. His father's like freaked the fuck out and ends up confessing to Stefan that he's the one who shot them, both Damon and Stefan, because they were trying to help Catherine escape. Wow. Giuseppe then grabs a cane, breaks it in half to get a stake to like stab Stefan. Stefan reflexively sort of like throws Giuseppe against the wall, and Giuseppe ends up stabbing himself. Before he dies, Stefan ends up being tempted by Giuseppe's blood and drinks the blood of his own father to become a vampire. So more or less, Stefan basically killed his father. Pretty dark. Pretty freaking dark. Then we transition back into the modern day and we see Stefan has awoken from his vervain coma and he is so pouty and so depressed. He tells Elena the vampire transition story and talks about how he regrets everything that happened and he should have stuck with his decision to never become a vampire in the first place, and he wants to just die. Stefan is ready to be done with everything.
I don't want to survive.
No, don't say that.
I'm sorry, Elena. I just want it over.
Elena approaches Damon about this. She gets mad at him for holding this eternal vendetta against Stefan. You know how he promised he would make Stefan's life an eternity of misery?
You spent the last 145 years punishing him for Catherine getting caught.
This is my fault now?
You're not exactly innocent. You've made it your life's mission to make him miserable.
So Elena's sort of shaming Damon for this, and we have a huge reveal here.
Let me ask you a question. In all this important soul searching, did you ever manage to get the rest of the story?
You said there was more.
Yeah, there's more to the story, babe.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
And he starts walking away, and Elena's like, no, wait, please tell me what happened. So now we get Damon's side of the story, and oh my god. We go back into another flashback, and we see Damon has made the choice to die. He's done. Stefan comes up to him.
What are you doing? Who is that?
I brought her for you. She's a gift.
He had found a girl, just random woman, brings her to Damon as an offering. Like, you need to be a vampire because this is fucking awesome, dude. You gotta try it out.
And it's incredible. My body is exploding with power, Damon. No.
Stefan is actually acting like a manipulative psychopath in this moment.
I won't let you die. No.
And Damon is like, no, I don't want to do this. And he's pushing against Stefan, saying no, that he doesn't want to.
Don't fight it. We can do this together.
Stefan forces Damon into becoming a vampire against his will. And Elena's like, oh, I think I know why he wants to die now. Okay, that makes sense. Prior to this conversation with Damon, Elena had unlocked the cell for Stefan and left his daylight ring with him because she's like, you're okay, I trust you, come back into the light. So after she talks to Damon, gets the full story, goes back down to check on Stefan, and he's gone. Not only is he gone, he left his daylight ring behind. Stefan basically decided to go back to the place where he woke up when he was transitioning, that place by the water. He wants to just sit there and let the sun rise without his daylight ring so that he will be burned alive in the sun. Full circle kind of moment. Elena figures out where he went. She takes the daylight ring. She goes and finds him, talks him off the ledge. She's like, Stefan, please stay. And he decides that he's gonna live another day. All right, Elena does her magic. Elena and Stefan kiss each other. Everything's fine. Damon and Stefan then talk alone later, and Damon drops a huge bomb on Stefan. Damon is basically like, look, Stefan, I hate you. I still hate you, but I don't hate you for turning me into a vampire. I hate you because I was supposed to be the only one who was turned into a vampire. He's not mad that Stefan forced him to turn. He's mad that Catherine turned Stefan too.
Because she turned you. It's just supposed to be me, Stefan. Just me.
Catherine is such a manipulative little bitch. Should we get into episode 21? Okay, so episode 20 ended on the cliffhanger of Rick in the bar with Isabel showing up. Thank goodness this episode starts us right where we left off with Isabel, because what the fuck? Isabel, she is heartless.
I hear that you're a high school history teacher.
Where have you been, Isabel?
I don't have any explanations that are gonna satisfy you. You were supposed to mourn me and move on.
Rick is like flabbergasted that she shows up, and she's basically like, get over it.
And move on.
The only reason she's talking to Rick is because she wants to arrange a meeting with Elena. And Rick is like, no, fuck you. Bye.
You want me to deliver a message? You selfish bitch.
Well, Isabel vampire zooms herself over to Rick at his car outside and threatens to start killing people in the town, starting with his history students if he doesn't arrange a meeting between her and Elena. We see a little bit more of Isabel. Turns out everything that John has been doing is also related to Isabel. Isabel has been sort of using John to do her dirty work. So John, trying to go after this Gilbert invention, was actually something that Isabel had been tasking him to do. We find out later that Isabel is also working for Catherine. So Catherine has been pulling some strings, but using Isabel, and Isabel has been using John. It's a whole thing. Anyway, Isabel snaps at John like, you failed. You were not able to accomplish the task, so it's my turn to step in. Mom is here. I'm gonna fix the problems, all right? Isabel meets up with Elena. First thing she says is,
You look just like her. It's eerie.
She then starts telling Elena about Catherine and how Catherine, I guess, sought her out of genetic curiosity because Isabel is, in fact, a descendant of Catherine. Catherine finds Isabel, gives her a daylight necklace. Say what you will about Catherine, but she looks out for her people. She's coming in clutch with those daylight magical trinkets. Remember the guy earlier who was like stalking Elena basically and then jumped in front of a car? Elena asks Isabel about that and is like, why did you have him do that? And Isabel's like, I just thought it would be traumatic.
Traumatic impact. Wish it would have been more effective. Human life means that little to you? Means nothing to me.
She also talks about Uncle John, how apparently when they were younger, Isabel and John were friends. John had a huge crush on Isabel, and John is the one who told her about vampires in the first place. And the last thing we learn from Isabel is that she just wants the invention. She wants the Gilbert invention that Damon is now in possession of that nobody knows what it is. She talked to Alaric to arrange a meeting with Elena so that she could get the invention from Damon. Why didn't she just go directly to Damon in the first place? There is an explanation for that, and we'll get to it later. While Elena is talking to Isabel, we catch a conversation between Damon and Alaric. Damon starts explaining to Alaric that Isabel has switched off her humanity altogether. There's an option as a vampire to just completely shut off all your emotions, all your humanity. You just become a complete complete monster. And that's what Isabel has done, according to Damon's perspective. This whole concept is commonly referred to in the show as the humanity switch, and it ends up being super important moving forward. But this is kind of the first introduction we really get to that humanity switch.
You can turn it off, like a button you can press. As a vampire, your instinct is not to feel. Isabel chose the easier road. No guilt, no shame.
Bonnie has decided she wants to try and make amends with Elena.
Hi, I'm my friend Elena. If you need me, I'm here for you.
Elena breaks down in tears, telling Bonnie that she met her birth mother and how her birth mother is actually a psychopath threatening to kill people if she doesn't give her this magic weapon device. So Bonnie's able to help comfort Elena during this really difficult time for her. She tells Bonnie about what's going on, and Bonnie offers to look through her spell book and see if we can figure out what this freaking invention was. Bonnie actually has quite a few beans to spill in this situation. Apparently, Bonnie has been able to find descriptions and spells for all of Jonathan Gilbert's inventions in Emily's old spell book. So big reveal here, as a way to like secretly counteract the vampire movement in Mystic Falls, Emily was sort of fighting back in her own way by spelling Jonathan's inventions. And Jonathan, of course, was none the wiser that these amazing inventions he came up with were just spelled by a witch, but you know, potato potato. In Emily's spell book, they find a couple important things, one being the spell for daylight rings. So Bonnie knows how to make daylight accessories for vampires, but she's also able to figure out that this device that everyone's after right now is a freaking weapon. A weapon against vampires specifically. Elena comes up with the idea to have Bonnie deactivate whatever spell Emily put on this device in the first place, so that way they can still give Isabel the device, but it won't work. Bonnie does the whole spell, there's like a dramatic display, it floats up in the air, it's all good. She's like, I did it. It's done. They work out a handoff situation with Isabel. Isabel's acting all smug during the handoff, and Elena's like, how did you know that Damon would actually give me this device to give to you? And Isabel throws a curveball just to cause some drama, and honestly, respect.
You took a risk with Damon. How did you know that he was going to give it to me?
Because he's in love with you.
He's in love with you. Obviously. She also says to Elena,
As long as you have a salvator on each arm, you're doomed.
After Isabel leaves, Stefan hugs Elena, but then Elena looks at Damon as she's hugging Stefan, and it's like, don't do that. Don't do that. So they meet eyes, and then Stefan turns to look at Damon, and Damon just like looks away really quick. Oh, dude, Damon, no. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't. As the episode ends, we get a very interesting sequence of events. Isabel shows up at the school to say goodbye to Alaric, and their interaction is so interesting.
I'm leaving. I just thought I'd say goodbye.
We couldn't be bothered the first time, so why now?
You hate me. Good.
Does that make it easier for you? I mean, you act like you don't care, but you cared enough to protect me after you left.
I was a different person back then.
You expect me to believe that?
Alaric thinks that she's just putting on an act and does not believe her. He's pretty fed up with her. He takes off his vervain, he takes off his ring that would resurrect him, gives him to her, basically offers himself as a sacrifice to Isabel to prove that there's goodness left in her. I don't know why that would require him to like sacrifice his life, but that's where he's going with this. Isabel's walls come down. She taps into a bit of her humanity and admits to Alaric that she regrets becoming a vampire.
I needed this, and I'm gonna regret it forever. This was my mistake.
Isabel then compels Alaric to forget their entire interaction and compels his heart to be free of her. She gives back the ring and his vervain, and she disappears. Alaric does not remember. So that's a little interaction just for us as the audience to see that there is a little bit of humanity left in Isabel. She does, in fact, regret her decision to leave Rick and become a vampire. So it's kind of interesting. Stefan confronts Damon about his feelings for Elena. He's like, what the F, dude? And then Damon just deflects the entire conversation being about him to pointing out the fact that he's noticed something that nobody else has seemed to pick up on.
Am I the only one around here who has the ability to put two and two together? Isabel.
Hello? She dated John when she was 15. Now, what do you think John's role is in all this?
John is Elena's dad.
So you think that John is Elena's father?
Ding, 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 ding. And then, right on cue, we see Isabel making a phone call to John as she's in a car leaving town. She left the magical device with John and her work is done here, so she's peacing out. She then says they need to add Stefan and Damon to the kill list of all the vampires in Mystic Falls.
I don't want this life for her. She's our daughter, John.
Confirming Damon's suspicions, Isabel and John are collectively Elena's actual blood parents. And then there's another bomb they drop on us at the very end. Bonnie goes up to Caroline, and Bonnie's like, "Gotta tell you a secret. I lied to Elena.
I pretended to do something I didn't really do. She's never gonna forgive me."
Bonnie did not, in fact, dispel the weapon intended to kill all the vampires within a certain radius. So that's a way to end an episode. That is a way to end an episode. There's like 4 different bombs they drop at the end of this episode. It's wild. But yeah, now it's the season finale, so let's get into it. You ready for another crazy episode? Because I am. Episode 22. Today is the Founders Day Parade. It's like their town's Peach Days or whatever. It's like the Founders Day. They're obsessed with the founders. This episode starts off with a flashback fake out, which I love. Everyone's getting ready. We see Stefan getting in his old 1800s attire. And they're making us think that it's like back in the day, Stefan and Catherine, and it's so convincing. But then Jenna pops into the mirror.
This dress hurts. Suck it in, baby.
I really adore the clever cinematography and storytelling choices that they make. It's little details, scenes, writing and directing choices like this that make this show so good and so fun to watch. Stefan and Damon are having a petty fight about Damon's feelings for Elena, and Damon is just having absolutely no shame. Like, I'm gonna steal your girl. He is not backing down, and it's not good. It's not healthy. He really needs to not be doing this, but he is.
You're scared now that Catherine's out of the picture that I'm gonna turn all my attention to Elena. But don't worry, Elena is not Catherine.
You're right. She's not.
Yeah, she's definitely not Catherine. And then they both look up and see Elena walking over dressed exactly like Catherine. The looks on their faces are so good. We specifically linger on Damon's face for a little bit, and then it cuts over to Elena doing like a little smile and a smirk and a curtsy. She has no idea what she's doing to these men. And it's kind of adorable. Getting into the real meat of this episode, the remaining tomb vampires, apparently there's a lot of them, have been secretly plotting a revenge scheme against the founding families, and they're going to be enacting their plan tonight. They were specifically looking forward to this founding families event so that they could attack all the members of the founding families and take revenge on their ancestors. We previously learned that John had been helping out some of the vampires from the tomb, and now we know the reason he was doing this is because he was trying to keep tabs on the vampires. He was helping some people out as long as those vampires would give him updates about what's going on with the tomb guys, and they were able to inform John about this master plan, you know, the attack plan. John is making a counterattack with his magical weapon device invented by Jonathan Gilbert, spelled by Emily Bennett. John tells Mayor Lockwood about the vampires' mysterious secret attack plan that somehow everybody ends up finding out about. These tomb vampires, these toomies, if you will, there is zero coordination or like security measures for their intel, and also zero loyalty amongst the Toomies. Sort of a madhouse, free reign over there. John explains to Mayor Lockwood how this device works. It emits a high frequency that only affects vampires. It will kind of incapacitate them. It's gonna help them catch all the vampires within a specific radius of this device going off. Once a vampire is incapacitated by the frequency, they plan to use vervain on all the vampires to knock them out in round round him up. Sheriff Forbes actually tries to stop John because he's being a little bit unethical and she's mad at him, and so he just knocks her out and locks her in her office because he's a misogynistic asshole. While this is all happening behind the scenes, Elena is struggling to deal with Damon. Damon has been like overtly very flirty and forward toward her all fucking day. Damon keeps trying to inject himself into Elena's line of sight, you know, trying to seduce her, if you will. Elena's not having it. She's like, look, I don't want our friendship to mess up whatever I've got going with Stefan, so stop. Cut it out, dude.
So I think you should stop with the flirty little comments and that eye thing that you do.
What I think?
Damon also approaches Bonnie and profusely thanks her.
Where are you going?
Just leave me alone.
Thank you. The device that Emily spelled could have killed me. I don't take what you did lightly, so thank you.
It feels really sincere.
I did it for Elena.
I know that, but I'm still very grateful. And I owe you.
Little does he know, she did not do that. No, no, no. Bonnie, Bonnie, Bonnie. Oh, no, Bonnie. Anna figures out that the tomb vampires are also planning an attack, and Anna actually goes to Damon to warn him about everything that's going to happen that night. So Damon, Stefan, and Alaric all get a heads up that the founding families are going to be under attack from the tomb vampires tonight, so they work on getting Jeremy and Elena to safety. Meanwhile, Mayor Lockwood is also trying to get his family to safety. He finds his son Tyler at the grill with Caroline and Matt. They've been all beefing, by the way, because I don't know if you remember this, but Tyler sort of made out with Matt's mom. So their friendship is feeling kind of rocky, and Caroline's been trying to encourage Matt to try and be friends with Tyler again for some reason. Anyway, they're all together at the grill, and Tyler's dad is like, you guys need to get out of here now. Take the car, go home. Gives Tyler his car keys. Tyler can tell that this is like very serious coming from his dad, and Matt and Caroline can see this as well, so they all hop in the car with Tyler, start driving home together. John starts up the device, and all hell breaks loose, man. Just wait until season 8. Damon happened to be confronting John right in the moment that John started up the device, so Damon was first to go get knocked down by this freaking frequency thing. We see Stefan falling down with Elena, Anna with Jeremy, she's starting to break down. We see these vampires we know suffering, and then it's really cool, the sound design, it goes silent, and we just have like some really good emotional music in the background as we see all of these vampires like suffering. They're collapsing, and like the fireworks are just silent. It's super cool. There's all these sheriff deputies and council members who are rounding up vampires, putting Vervain and all the vampires who have collapsed, and they successfully get almost all of them. They almost get Stefan as well. The only reason they don't is because Alaric swoops in to save him and tells the guy going after Stefan to go get another vampire. While Caroline and Matt are driving with Tyler, the frequency affects him as well.
What the hell is that?
What's the matter? Tyler! Tyler!
And ends up getting them into a car accident that's like super bad. Later, we see paramedics and people helping out at this accident, and Tyler's the person who seems to be most affected, so everyone's focusing on Tyler, checking his eyes. They open up his eyelid, and there's like this really cool yellow eye effect that's so cool, and it freaks out the paramedic. We also get a really dramatic wake up from Tyler, one of my favorite things this show does. And then after that, Caroline, who appeared to be just fine, actually has been having some internal bleeding, and she just passes out. So we gotta get Caroline to the freaking hospital. Tyler seems to be okay, but he was affected by the frequency. I wonder why. Mayor Lockwood is also affected by the frequency, as Tyler was. Not Carol Lockwood, but Mayor Lockwood and Tyler. Wow. Wow. Unfortunately for the mayor, he was in the mix of the commotion while the frequency was going, and he ends up getting taken as well with all the other vampires to this like basement somewhere. We cut to Damon, who's waking up from his Vervain comatose. In this basement, he sees Anna next to him and Uncle John over there as well. Anna is half awake but still pretty incapacitated by the Vervain, and John ends up driving a stake through her heart. It was personal with Anna. I think probably because she was involved with Jeremy and he didn't like that. I don't know why he didn't stake Damon as well. I think he just had a particular hatred for Anna for some reason. Probably because he's a misogynist. John then covers all these vampires in gasoline and makes a trail of gas up the stairs and lights them all on fucking fire, okay? Damon, as he's waking up, he's able to look around and he sees Mayor Lockwood in there with him. Mayor Lockwood is not affected by the vervain. He's able to move around just fine. And Damon's like, what? Why are you here? And Mayor Lockwood's like, well, why are you here? And Damon's like, I'm a vampire, duh.
The vervain didn't affect you. You're not a vampire. Who the hell are you?
I don't know. What could he possibly be? Ow! And the mayor's like, backing away really quickly, like, no, get away from me. And then another vampire grabs him and just snaps his neck. Yeah. Anyway, Mayor Lockwood, he's gone now, unfortunately. It would have been fun to flesh out his character a little bit more, but Vampire Diaries is pretty fucking brutal when it comes to people just dying. Stefan and Elena approach John like, where'd you put all the vampires? Where are they? We need Damon. You got Damon. And John's all like, you're never gonna get to them in time. They're burning up right now as we speak. From talking to John, they're able to deduce that the burning of the vampires is happening at an old Gilbert property. So Elena and Stefan book it to get to that property. John tries to stop Elena, be like, you are not going over there with this vampire boy. And Elena's like, oh yeah? Dad? Huh?
One more step and I'll alert those deputies that they missed the vampire.
I'm asking you not to.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
As my father, it should.
And John's all like, you know that I'm your dad? And Elena's like, I didn't know, but now I do, dumbass. Bye. And she goes with Stefan to go try and save Damon real quick, leaving John in complete shock. Bonnie happens to be near the warehouse and she sees Stefan running in to save Damon. And she's like, Stefan, don't go in there, you'll die. And Stefan's like, I don't care, gotta save my brother. Rushes in. Elena's also about to go in after them into this burning building. And Bonnie stops Elena. She's like, okay, let me do this. Bonnie does a cool little spell where she disperses the fire temporarily so that Stefan can get there and grab Damon and they can get out safely. So Bonnie used her magic to save Damon. And Bonnie talks to Stefan. She gives Stefan more of a warning, like, hey dude, I saved Damon because I care about Elena and Elena clearly cares about y'all. But if Damon messes up like one more time, I swear to God, I will kill you both. And that's basically what she says, more or less. Because Bonnie's a badass and she could literally destroy them both so easily. She's so strong, it's not even funny.
You saw what I was able to do tonight. I know who I am now.
Damon has another moment of wanting to do the right thing, which is rare. He goes to the Gilbert home to talk to Jeremy, and he tells Jeremy that he saw Anna get killed by John, unfortunately.
I wanted to help her, but I couldn't.
Heartbreaking for Jeremy because he's like actually really likes this girl, his little girlfriend, and now she's gone. Poor Jeremy. Like, seriously, can we give this guy a break? He got like one episode to be happy with his girlfriend. Are you kidding me?
Why are you telling me all this?
I took away your suffering once before. I can do it again, but it's your choice.
He then offers to compel Jeremy again, to take away all the vampires, take away all the pain. Jeremy declines.
I know you think you took it away, but it's still there. Even if I can't remember why, I still feel empty.
Damon apologizes for turning Vicky into a vampire, admitting that what he had done was wrong. Jeremy then asks Damon a very interesting question about vampires, going back to the humanity switch that we brought up earlier, talking about Isabel. Jeremy says that Anna had told him a little bit about that ability that vampires have.
Anna said that vampires don't have to feel pain, that they could turn it off. They shut out their humanity.
It's very true.
Is it easier that way?
And Damon, Damon, not realizing what he's doing, he answers honestly.
Life sucks either way, Jeremy. At least if you're a vampire, you don't have to feel bad about it if you don't want to.
Is that what you did?
Did it for a very long time. And life was a lot easier.
Damon's response could be interpreted as, yeah, life kind of sucks either way, but it's definitely a lot better when you're a vampire. Little did Damon know that was just the push Jeremy needed to enact his plan to become a vampire. Anna had given Jeremy some of her blood because she wanted him to turn into a vampire so that they could be together forever. So Jeremy has this promise blood from Anna that he's been holding on to, debating what he's gonna do, and he decides to drink it and then take a bunch of pills in hopes of, you know, overdosing and becoming a vampire. And that's where we leave Jeremy at the end of this season. What a trip for Jeremy. What a tragic season for this man. We've got Jeremy trying to OD with some vampire blood in his system. We've got Caroline in the hospital dying of internal bleeding. We've got Tyler with these mysterious powers that ended up having his dad get dead. So lots of things happening here. But then, guys, then it gets crazier, okay? Did you think we were done? We're not done. After his conversation with Jeremy, Damon goes downstairs, goes out on the front porch, and Elena happens to be coming home as Damon is leaving. He stops her and he's like, look, Elena, I realize that Bonnie didn't have to save me, and the only reason that Bonnie saved me is because of you.
Which means that somewhere along the way, you decided that I was worth saving. Thank you for that.
He gives her a little kiss on the cheek, and Elena says nothing. She just looks at him. So Damon takes that as an invitation, and he kisses her, and she kisses him back. They kiss on the porch. They kiss on the porch. Oh my God. Team Damon fans are freaking out right now. Team Stefan people, pissed as hell. Jenna interrupts this confusing moment for us and is like, Elena, get your ass inside. What the hell are you doing? The important part of this scene being that Jenna invited her inside.
It's late. You should probably come inside.
Because we quickly learn this is not Elena. This is Catherine. Yeah, and how this is revealed, oh, it's nuts, dude. She goes into the house and John is there. John sees Catherine thinking it's Elena, starts trying to get all mushy, like, let's talk about how I'm your dad. Let's talk about Isabel. Tells her that he's actually the one who sent Isabel to Damon in the first place, which implies that John has known about Damon and Stefan for a very long time. So John's trying to get all heart to heart with Elena, and she's putting knives away. And Catherine looks down at his hand and sees his ring thing there that would protect his life, grabs one of the knives and just chops his fingers off, like brutal, just boom. When you're watching this the first time, you have no clue, right? So this comes out of fucking nowhere, dude. Like, what is wrong with Elena? Yeah, no. Catherine kissed Damon, got herself invited into the house, chops John's fingers off, and then John, when realizing that this is Catherine, is like, oh, Catherine?
Hello, John. Goodbye, John.
Stabs John. What the fuck? Oh my God. As Catherine is in the process of stabbing John, the actual Elena comes home. She's on the phone. She's like, I don't know where my stuff is. Somebody took it. This is crazy. She goes inside, and that's the end of the season. Yeah. That's how it ends. Isn't that nuts, you guys? Like, that's nuts. Oh, I have the chills again thinking about it. So this is the Vampire Diaries way. Let's leave you with 5 cliffhangers and see how you do with it. It's just how we roll. Thank you for joining me on this journey. It's been a journey for sure. Subscribe if you want to be sexy and hot. No, I'm serious. It's this weird phenomenon. People who subscribe, they get sexy, they get hot. I don't know. It just happens, okay? Please like this video or engage with it in some way if you feel so inclined, because I spent a lot of time on this one, okay? I have spent a lot of time on this one. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if you want more, because I could talk about the Vampire Diaries all day long. Bye.